All right,
Let's get it
code
started, brother.
keepers. All right, code keepers. It's time to have a little fun today. Time to have a little knowledge today. We're about to do it up. We're about to do it up. So tonight, F Satan clause spending. Get your ish right. Minister Zumbi is going to show us the 10-point tax return plan. Let's go.
Like I said, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, do for self or suffer the consequences. How the hell do you make the CIA boy the hero when we know what the history has been between the CIA and Africa? Only when the father makes his transition to the ancestral realm of the Agun does the son truly become a man.
Woo, code keepers. We got Minister Zumbi with us. Yo, Zumbi, bring your I
Oh,
see it's just the top of your head.
okay.
And check it. We have with us for the first time on the platform the Queen, Fit Goddess. We're gonna allow her to introduce herself a little second. All right, so Fit Goddess, introduce yourself real quick.
Hey, my name is. Sorry, you remember that. Introduce yourself. Well, peace, y'all. I'm riding in the car. That's the only reason you can't see me. It's too dark to see me anyway. I call myself the Fit Goddess, but I go by many names. That's just the most recent one. For those of you who don't know me, I'm imported. I'm originally from Ohio. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Midwest girl, but I've been out here like 20 years. Um, I'm into multiple different things. My number one title is personal trainer. Well, really, my number one title is mother, then personal trainer, then author, then dancer, then sheesh, teacher, instructor, dance fitness coach. It's a lot.
And so on and so on and so on, like the
That's
commercial
right.
says.
That's right.
But yo, this is Minister Zumbi show. So Zumbi, man, start the show, man. Which way are we going? Where we going?
Okay. Tonight, and it's kind of interesting that we're going to talk about this tonight. I was running an errand at Walmart earlier this evening. Now, we haven't even seen Christmas Eve nor MLK Day. They've already got the Valentine's Day candy set up.
What?
Yeah, man.
Well,
Say word.
I'm not surprised, man, because right now
Okay.
folks are going crazy over Christmas shopping,
Right.
and
And the
I
amount
work
of
in. Go ahead.
yeah, and the amount of money that we're going to pour out of uh what we're going to get into tonight is something that I wrote in October 2019. Okay. It seems like every time we get around tax season, we get these huge windfalls, but by the time we reach maybe St. Patrick's Day, we have nothing to show for it. So I decided to sit down, and it really took me only about a half hour to write down this program of not just for a tax refund, but anytime you get a significant windfall, how do you make that windfall work for you? Okay. Whether it was the stimulus checks during the pandemic, um, any type of windfall. Okay. And I'll actually be reading from my book, Gospel of Afroeconomics Theology. And there's a chapter that I put in there to kind of give people an idea of what to do in case that windfall comes into your lap.
All right, all right. So I
Okay.
see the windfall thing, but right now, bro, our folk are out there trying to please Jesus. Our folks are out there trying to please Santa Claus right now, you know. And what bothers me is come January 1st, we're going to be poorer than we were November 27th.
Mm.
What bothers me, and I know you're going to tell us what to do when we get the money,
Right.
but what are your thoughts on the way that we're releasing our resources right now?
Well, I think it's a number of things. One, when you buy into an alien cultural value system, Okay. That's where I think we need to begin to start first. What is it about having to consume goods and services that bring no value to your life? It's kind of like it's a catharsis. The term is retail therapy. Okay, where people have to consume to feel good, but the high is only temporary. It's like a sugar rush. So
So,
you get it. Yeah.
so if this is therapy, what are we therapizing?
Well,
Fig.
it's like this. It's like there's a difference between looking and feeling good and being good, because we haven't figured out how to be good. So we go for the superficial. It's just like somebody said, it's one thing to look rich than to be rich. And I think many of us have settled for looking rich as opposed to being rich.
All right. Well, let's do a quick poll, man. I know we got
Okay.
about what we got like 50 people up in here. So
Okay.
if you're doing Christmas spending this year, put a zero in the chat. If you're doing some Christmas spending right now, do put a zero in the chat. Let's just find out who we dealing with. Let's test the waters.
Mm.
Minister Zumbi, what about you, man? Christmas spending, zero in the chat. Fit Goddess, I know we can't see you, but Fit Goddess, what you put in the chat? You putting a zero in the chat?
So I'm one of them crunchy people. I've never celebrated Christmas, and even though, so nostalgia, right? I decorate because I remember childhood. Um, I only buy my children four gifts: something you need, something to read, something to wear, and something you want. Is that four? Yeah. There we go. That's four.
Okay, I hear. I hear you got the youth in the background. You said
Mm.
something you need, something you read,
Something you
something.
want, and
Okay,
something to wear.
and something to wear. All right, all right, all
Mm.
right.
Okay. All right. I'm
Okay,
doing birthday. I'm not celebrating. Okay.
all right, all right, all right. Queen, set a fire. Hey, happy born day.
Mm.
I'm in an interesting situation. So I buy a Christmas gift for my wife.
Okay.
That's it.
Mm.
That's
Okay.
it. I'm not ready to trade in yet. So,
Lord help us.
but you know what's interesting? One of the things that wife does is she puts away money throughout the entirety of the year. So when December comes, she's not using credit cards. She's not
Okay.
going broke trying to please folk.
Mm.
She's already set aside enough money, $200 a month, something like that. So
Okay.
yeah, she can go have a nice little spending spree, and it doesn't impact our economics. It doesn't impact our investments. You know,
Mm.
I take care of the bills anyway. So, I think those type of strategies are good.
Yeah. In
But
fact, there's you still have certain banks and credit unions, and I know I'm going to date myself when I say this. Growing up, our parents and grandparents would have uh, a specific type of bank account called Christmas Club or a Holiday Club, where you would put away money. And in this case, my credit union still has what's called a Holiday Club, where you put in a certain amount of money. October 1st is when the money is released into your account. So from October 1st of one year to October 1st of the following year, whatever you saved in there, plus whatever interest it accumulates, is returned to you October 1st of that following year. Now, I don't know if every bank still has or still offers a Christmas Club account, but I think that's what you were alluding to,
okay, all
you
right.
know.
So it looks like
Okay.
Queen says they still have those at their credit union as well. All right, so let's do this, man. If we're focused on empowerment, and our show is always focused on empowerment,
Right.
right now we're talking about the spending, and then you're gonna do your manifesto on what to do when you get a windfall. How should we be spending?
I'm going to take a page from the ancestor Reverend Ike, where he says that we should eliminate the word spend from our vocabulary. Instead, we should say circulate, because if you say you spend, you're basically exhausting resources to where there's no return. So if we are circulating our money, particularly amongst ourselves, if we're purchasing, like I always believe in purchasing things that have any kind of ROI. Okay, so let's say for the children, instead of buying the latest video game, are we buying them things such as board games, example, whether it's Risk, whether it's Monopoly, whether it's Cash Flow 101, whether it's chess, whether it's there's one called Play Black Wall Street. Okay, so we need to get back into getting gifts that will elevate us, whether it's our finances, our personal development, our cultural consciousness.
All right, and that goes along with what Uncle Abu's World just put in the chat. Uncle
Mm,
Abu's World's message is: our folks will celebrate European holidays, which are all a lie and teach us nothing, but won't celebrate Kwanzaa, which teaches us solid principles for everyday life. Shaking my head. So you know what? I agree with Uncle Abu because when you pass on gifts during that Kwanzaa celebration, the last day when you have the Zawadi, those Zawadi are kind of like what Queen, the fitness guy is talking about.
mm,
Those gifts are supposed to elevate your child.
right.
We're not just giving them gifts just because, or because you know God gave Yeshua to the world, and now we got to give gifts to each other, or whatever other stuff people are going with. You give Zawadi or you give a gift to elevate your child.
Hmm.
How can we do that?
Well, I know and I know we're moving into Kwanzaa as well. Are we giving gifts that we've created from scratch? Gifts that we've created with our own hands. Because I think that's one of the things Dr. Milana Karenga wanted to encourage is for us to, when we give gifts, make sure that the gifts we give are something that we created for someone. Okay. A lot of people still bring a Christmas mentality into Kwanzaa, and that's going to have to take, a process of having to, deconstruct and reconstruct in terms of how to uh, properly acknowledge this holiday and how to maximize this holiday. Another thing is when it comes to our children,
Right?
what type of, let's say if we're going to buy a book, what type of books are we buying our children?
Hey,
Are
do our
we still,
children even want books anymore?
well, I'm just kind of throwing it out as an example in terms of the cultural aspect of it. Are we still buying Dick and Jane or whatever the books are now? Or are we buying something that is culturally appropriate for our children?
What that kind of taps back into what Fit Guide has talked about. She says she
Mm.
buys something they can wear, something they want, something they can read, and something they need. So Fit Goddess, what type of books are you buying your children? And has it elevated them from wherever they are? Last.
Okay.
I think Fit Goddess has stepped away for a
Yeah,
second.
so no. So I had to marinate on the thought because uh, I'm a mother, so I'm very emotional. So I always go to emotion first, and I have to come back, right? My children are avid readers, and legit, most of the books they receive are the gifts they receive are books. So much so that my oldest, my 10-year-old, wrote his first book in fourth grade, And in second grade, he came home with the name of the dictionary.
Mm.
Um, but I say that children should be allowed to gravitate to whatever it is that they like. You take them to the bookstore, you watch them. Why are we forcing people to be something that they're not? They know what they are.
They know what they are.
Don't you? Don't you know what your purpose is?
I mean, I do. That's something I think I've grown into, but I'm not sure if a child knows. And as a child, I'm
So,
not sure as a child if I'm talking about me, if I knew what.
right.
Right, 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 right.
So, as a mother, looking from the vantage point of watching a young you, right? Because I'm raising two sons. So think of the perspective that I have, looking at my creation from utero to year 10, right? He's always known. I can even tell you what part of me he is, and I can show you that part of me in childhood and tell you why he is that way for both of my sons. They know, just like you know who you are, when it is spoken to us. Now, I can tell you most likely because of how you were raised, your circumstances, you may not, you have been jaded, but before you were jaded, you were pure. If we nurture that purity, what happens? Self awareness, greater knowledge of self, more time investigating self, because again, they already know. My son can tell you right now who he is, what he wants to be, and as long as I cater to that, he continues to grow.
Intriguing, intriguing. Zumbi, was that your experience?
No, for me, it was really a case of deconstructing and reconstructing. Okay. So, and what I mean by that is when you come into an environment where people have bought into alien cultural value systems and there's something within you that's resisting it, you're not exactly sure why, but as you get older, it begins to make more sense to you when you surround yourself with those uh, more culturally grounded, I'll say. So for me, I've kind of had to go through, I guess you would say, a cultural detox in order for things to come in. Um, it really began at age 17 when my cousin came home with a VHS tape and popped it in, and that was really the first time that I saw footage of Baba Omawali, or who you call Malcolm X. That kind of began the process of the transformation that led to where I am today. Um, so for me, it was kind of like a kind of a build and destroy.
All right, going back to our 5% talk, build and destroy. All right,
Mm.
I love that. I love that. And I think that's what we have to do with our spending habits now. We
Hmm.
really have to build some new habits. I'm sorry, circulation habits. We have to build some new habits and destroy the old mentality of I gotta look fly all the time. I mean, I'm gonna look fly anyway, but I gotta have the newest clothes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I gotta have the newest ride. I
Hmm.
gotta buy a car fresh off the lot. It still cracks me up when I talk with students and they're like, "Yo, did you get a fresh new car, fresh off the lot?" No,
Mm.
stupid. They're like, "Why don't you buy your car?" It's like, "Hey, look, it depreciates as soon as you leave the parking lot.
Right.
It depreciates. Why would you buy something that's a depreciating asset?" And the students are looking at me like, "What are you talking about?"
Hmm.
Teaching moment. But my point is, we have to build and destroy, and I think that's the impetus of tonight's conversation. So, we just kind of talked a little bit about how people are spending money on the wrong stuff
Mm.
for the holiday season. Uh,
Right.
but let's say they get a windfall.
Okay.
Let's say next year somebody does exactly what we're talking about, and they make sure that their investment, their monies, elevate their children.
Right.
All right. So now comes, November 25th, and they have more money, and they're not going to spend it on gifts that depreciate in value.
Mm.
What do they do with that money? What do
Okay.
they do when they get that windfall?
So the first thing that I started with is, and I'll just go down each one. The first thing that I always start with is gratitude. Okay. And what I mean is that African people must show gratitude for receiving the windfall and to call on the universe and the ancestors for guidance and wisdom in handling such a windfall. A lot of times we forget just to say thank you because the windfall could have gone to anyone anywhere on the planet, but because it came to us, we should show a level of appreciation and gratitude, particularly in this economic age of turbulence.
So that's one.
Hmm. Yeah. So, gratitude. The second one is savings. Okay. African people must practice the 10% solution, or what I call pay yourself first. African people must, what I call swap, save with a purpose, and find an IGA or income generating asset that can generate infinite passive and residual income. Okay. So that's number two, savings.
Two.
Two. All right.
I'm trying to do my Chuck D voice, like the Ten Crack Commandments.
Oh man. We
Th-
look, we
three,
don't
three, three.
we don't need Uncle Chuck. He's already sued Primo over this. I don't want him suing us. Okay. Number three, investments. African people must invest in IGAs, income generating assets that produce infinite passive and residual income. And we must know how to convert our earned income into portfolio and passive income. Okay. So for those of us who may be employed or self employed, the monies we make from there, how do we flip it to where we're no longer working for money, but now the money is working for us and hustling harder than us? Okay.
Four.
This is your favorite. Cultural tithing. African people must practice cultural tithing to an African centered or race first organization, regardless of one's spiritual school of thought. That organization must be committed to improving the economic condition of the African world community. Okay.
All right. All right. Yeah, that is my favorite. That is my favorite.
Yeah.
Let's pause right there with number four.
Okay.
Fit Goddess. I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts are from 1 to 4. So, is this something that you would teach your children? Is this something that you can embrace in your livelihood? Uh, oh, and she bounced. So I guess she's like F
She,
Zumbi. Ain't no man gonna
might,
tell me what to do with my money.
she probably hit a dead zone. So,
That tunnel got me.
Ah,
yeah.
the tunnel got you. Okay. All right. So yeah, Fit Goddess. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Nope.
What do you think? Is this something you would teach your children? Is this something you would? Oh, she had to turn around and spank somebody. I got it.
So yo, this is absolutely totally and oh my goodness, phenomenally what I am attempting to do with my children currently, right?
Mm.
As an adult, I have to get through my own traumas that hang me up from allowing me to succeed, right? And then as I learn those steps, I have to then teach them to my children. Like I said, my 10-year-old wrote his first book in fourth grade. He
Mm.
has his own business. And at the same time, we created our own businesses, right? So there's more to savings than just acquiring money, right? It's not about how much money and how quickly you acquire it. I can give my son $20 and he can spend it tomorrow. But if I don't teach him, like he said, the purpose of investing, the purpose of saving. However, comma, both my kids did get savings accounts at 2 years old. They don't remember it, but I have pictures. They were very aware when it happened, because we're training, right? We're very habitual. So the brother's right. The steps are amazing. I think if people would slow down and read, it would be easier than we allow it to be. The problem is, like I see with my children, we don't read to the end of the sentence. We want to get to the results. We want it so bad that we can't breathe and let it take the time that it takes, right? Because what I've learned in watching children and also learning is difficult because there are multiple different ways to learn, to teach, and receive knowledge. And that's all in one individual, and every individual is different. So the brothers got the right thing. It's just, do we have the patience, the wherewithal, the will? Are we of sound mind and body to be able to actually be like, yo, I got this? I got this. I have everything within me. It may take a whole lot out of me. It may even physically hurt me to do so, right? But even will I go through that pain if it means on the other end, this is the outcome? If the answer is no, anybody can read that book and find all in the world. The people that are willing to say, yes, brother, that's it. That's simple. Thank you for making it so simple. And they take it, digest it, step one, and do everything until step one is done. And then celebrate, like you said, gratitude. Thank God. Okay. Instead of being, yo, I can't believe I'm 36, 42, 58, 69, and I haven't figured this out. My mom, dad, cousin, aunt, uncle, doesn't matter, right? If we're willing to be like, yes, we all suffer trauma, and that trauma caused physiological pain within my body that turned me into whatever, and I want to change it. And this brother, the reflection of me, has given me 4 simple steps. All I got to do is read it. Oh, snap, I can't read. Let me get help, right? We got to address the problems. Like you said, if you got the solution, why are you going to tell the brother no? Most times what we do is turn to each other and fight because that's what we're taught. We live in Virginia. That's what we're taught. You know what I'm saying? That's the history. Sankofa, if we know the history, we would stop making the same mistakes. It's easier when we get older. That's why you as an adult male can say, nah, I know I had to do this and this and this. Yeah, I see my sons think they know it too. I see them tell me and I laugh them in the face. But they don't know, they know more than me in certain areas, and I give it to them because sheesh, out of the mouths of babes, the children shall lead us.
Yeah,
But we got to what?
the prophet did say the babies are the greatest, right?
Right.
Father Allah.
Everybody say it. Everybody say it. I seen it. I'm blessed to be the creator that gets to see it. I saw my seeds within myself, and they were stars in a black abyss, like Nas said. So powerful. My second son is named after Nas. I came from
Okay.
a back abyss, you know what I'm saying? Coming out fist ball, you know what I mean? Both my children did. I seen it. I got pictures of them bloody from
That's what's
me.
up. That's what's up.
We know this, and I see you. Like when I see you gentlemen, I see my grown sons. I just hope that everything that I can do to invest in them now, right, mentally, physically, emotionally, will allow them to see brothers like you and hear wisdom as opposed to fight.
Well, I'll tell you what, Queen, if you see your grown sons, they hella handsome.
No doubt, brother, no doubt. They are
Hella handsome.
definitely.
Hey, Uncle Abu's World left another message. He said, Brother Minister sounds like he's explaining what a family bank would look like, but with African principles. Any thoughts on that before you hit number 5, bro?
Well, that's the whole thing, is to put everything through an African centered lens or an African centered paradigm. When it comes to what I call the science of beef being business, economics, entrepreneurship, and finance, there seems to be or what I found to be a disconnect between the science of beef and culture. The sister was talking about her two sons, and it reminds me of a group in modern day Kenya called the Sambaru. And in their manhood training process, one of the things, or a number of things that they emphasize ownership, they emphasize self-reliance, they emphasize self-sufficiency. In fact, as part of their manhood training process, okay, the crucible or the capstone is when the young man goes out and hunts wild game. When he brings that game home, he presents it to his mother and grandmother. And that's a very symbolic moment, because what he is saying to his mother in particular is, you no longer have to feed me when I was a child, because now I have the capacity to feed the village and ensure that everyone gets a plate, even if I have to sacrifice my own. That is his step into manhood, is to be able to make provision for his village.
Whoa. Now, how does that relate to the science of beef again? Because I know you dropped that earlier. You made it kind of like a slight mention,
Okay.
but give us the
Well,
acronym, bro.
with the science of beef being business, economics, entrepreneurship, and finance. When I was talking about the Sambaru, that there's a heavy emphasis on ownership of your resources, ownership. I guess you could also say entrepreneurship, self-reliance, self-sufficiency. So amongst the Sambaru, ownership is viewed as a sign of manhood, as a sign of being empowered, because you have the resources to produce for your village. Okay, so that's that connection. And when the sister was talking about her two sons, it just reminded me of what is taught in the Sambaru tradition in terms of manhood.
Okay. All right. So take us to number 6. We rounding out at a half hour now, so I want to
Okay,
make sure that within our time period we get all of your points out.
right. Okay, so actually, number five. Number five is education. And what I mean by education is, for African people, we must invest in education comprised of entrepreneurship, financial literacy, personal development, and cultural consciousness, or African centeredness. The core of our economic philosophy must be rooted in this nucleus of culture, history, and spirituality. Okay,
All right.
so that's number five. Number six is startup.
6.
Yeah, startup capital. African people must allocate a portion of their tax refund towards startup capital at the beginning for a home-based and or internet-based business. Okay, because the one thing that, case in point, Wayne Huizinga, the guy who created Blockbuster Video and Waste Management.
Wait. Blockbuster who?
Blockbuster Video.
I'm thinking like a Gen Z or a millennial or whatever they are.
Yeah,
Block who?
Blockbuster Video. This is when, we would go to the video store, rent our VHS tapes, etc. Okay.
Okay, you old man, you old.
So, so he was being interviewed in Entrepreneur Magazine, and he was actually Forbes 400 at one point. And they said, well, Mr. Huizinga, you have all of these businesses. You were in the sanitation business, the home video business. You own the Miami Dolphins. What business are you in? Huizinga says, son, I'm in the money-making business. Okay. And that's kind of the mentality that we need to have when we start businesses, particularly at the home-based or the internet-based level. So that way, whatever we generate from there, we can flip into a larger venture. Okay. So that's number 6 with startup capital. Number 7 is a food pantry. And some of you may have heard me tell this story before. African people must build a food pantry that can sustain a household ideally, and this is what I mean by ideally, for up to 1 year. African people must stay prepared for any emergency that can arise. Okay. And some of you may have heard the story in a previous show where I talked about when I was playing junior college football in Iowa. I was staying with a Mormon widow and we were cleaning up around the house. And I go downstairs and I see all this, bulk food. And so I'd ask her, hey, what's with the food? So she sat me down and explained about Joseph Smith having this vision from God to go west. He was in Pennsylvania at the time. So he leads this group of people on a westerly accord. A lot of men got lost along the way. They basically perished. Those who survived, by the time they reached Utah, two things came out of that experience. Number one, polygamy. And number two, they are taught that every Mormon should ideally have a food pantry that could sustain them for up to 1 year in a critical moment or an emergency situation. Okay. Number 8, petty cash. African people must have a petty cash fund in their households. Regardless of the amount, petty cash must be available to handle unexpected events. In other words, expect the unexpected. So there should always be this petty cash reserve available when there's no other financial options available. Okay. Insurance. African people must have insurance as part of an estate planning and an asset protection strategy. And a basic life insurance plan, whether it's term or whether it's whole, can serve as a starting point of an estate planning and an asset protection strategy. Okay. So whenever you hear people talk about, oh, we got to build multi-generational wealth, then that's what that's really where we have to begin.
All right. Hey, we have a little interest from C Ward number 12. What JUCO did you play at in Iowa, bro?
Actually, I was at what's it called? I want to say Ellsworth. I
Okay.
don't know if he's familiar with Ellsworth. So,
All right. Well, I'm digging what you're saying, man. I'm digging
hmm,
what you're saying. It's the same kind of message that I learned when I was in financial services. So please continue with the diatribe. We're dropping jewels tonight, y'all. If we
okay,
do these things when we get our windfall, we'll be in so much of a better place.
right.
So much of a better place later on.
Hmm. And so the last one, number 10, is debt reduction or debt elimination. So African people must reduce or eliminate as much consumer debt as possible, especially credit cards with high interest rates.
Okay.
Okay. So that rounds out the 10. And then, near the end of the chapter, the one thing I also say is this: planning and organizing. When you develop a plan and organize yourself, what you're doing is you're protecting yourself from your own emotions. Because, and this is a gross understatement, but money is an emotional subject. And when you don't have a blueprint or a guide on how to handle your money, then the emotions kick in and the results may not be what you want. Okay. Um, and you never want to underestimate the impact money has on one's what's called EQ or emotional intelligence. And actually, this came from Warren Buffett, who says that you should always develop an investment plan before, going into the market to see what you're going to invest in. Okay.
Okay.
So those are the things that I talk about in the 10-point tax refund plan. And like I said, it's not limited to just tax refund, but because we're heading into that, I felt that this was very apropos for tax refunds or any other financial windfall you may anticipate.
What? Hey, the reason we're doing this tonight is we're saying elf Satan clause spending. Get your ish
Okay.
right. Get your ish right. So when you have that tax refund coming your way, now you know what to do. And hold your book up again, bro.
Oh
So
yeah.
if somebody is saying personal lines of credit, we're gonna jump into that. Uh, the information that Zumbi's giving out tonight can be found in his great manifesto, The Gospel of Afronomics Theology. All right, personal lines of credit, would that be considered debt reduction? Can I tap in on that one, bro?
Shoot. Go ahead.
All right, good. Personal lines of credit. I have about 10, right? Is that a debt reduction strategy? No, the reason that I have those 10 lines is because I have built a credit history with those. Most of them have like zero or under $500 on them. I always keep maybe like a 5% usage.
Mhm.
I never, I never go over that 5% usage.
Okay.
uh, and I'm able to do because I help people with with credit restoration and credit repair. So one of the things that I end up doing sometimes is I help people by placing them on some of my trade lines. All right. So personal lines of credit, would that be considered debt reduction? The answer is no. Personal lines of credit will help you in establishing credit history, and that's a
Mhm.
totally different conversation. So, C Ward number 12. Check out some of the earlier shows where we talked about credit and credit repair because we deal with those types of
Right.
that type
And,
of question right then and there.
and I think that's also applicable to when you're building business credit.
Right. Now, I do want to say this.
Mm.
I want to say this. So, my son, hey, you're welcome, C Ward 12. My
Okay.
son and my daughter, right? My son is like 21. My daughter, no, my daughter's 21. My son's 22, turning about 23 soon, right?
Mm.
They both have credit histories that are over 18 years old.
Mm.
They both have 775 plus credit scores and credit histories that are over 18 years old.
Mm.
How is that? Is because I made them an authorized user on my perfect credit score
Okay. Right.
18 years ago. So that's my gift to them. Now, we've also talked a lot. I've trained them a lot. They're not spending money on crazy stuff. They're not using credit. Credit should be used to get you ahead, not to get stuff.
Right.
It should be used to get ahead, not to get stuff. But that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight
Mm.
we're saying forget all this Christmas spending. You know,
Mm.
if you're a Christian, celebrate Yeshua's birth. If you're a non-believer in Yeshua, in Jesus, and you just celebrate okay, do it in a way where you don't go into debt.
Right.
All right, because there's nothing in the Bible that says that we need to spend ourselves into debt to celebrate the birth of Yeshua.
Mhm.
Nothing in there, right?
No.
So we're saying, hey, forget all this stuff right now that's worldly, European culture. Let's focus on building us.
Mhm.
Let's
Yeah.
focus on building us. And now, once you build us and you get that windfall, then we follow that 10-point plan. I know you wanted to say something, brother. Go ahead, and then I'd like to hear from Fit Goddess.
Yeah. Especially, and you probably know this passage, Brother Sekou, Proverbs 17:16. Okay. Where, and I'm kind of paraphrasing when it says, What good is it for a man to get money if he lacks the desire to learn how to manage and master it?"
Get money. Had to throw. You said get money. I had
Yeah.
to throw the Biggie quote in there. Fit Goddess. Fit Goddess. Your thoughts. Your thoughts.
Yeah, I absolutely love it because you said in order to do all of this, right, we must first have the mindset. And then you said, even in the worldly sense, if you're going to celebrate Yeshua, right, let's not forget, let's not over indulge in the gratitude of his birth, but his life. We want to think mostly about how he lived his life. The idea is to share that gratitude for the life that you were gifted, right? Your body, you must build it every day. I'm really into fitness, so that's always my go back, right? We must build into ourselves in order to do this. If your mindset is not right, like we said in the beginning, none of this works. It will never work if we don't first address whatever the issue is. And the beautiful thing is this: the brother here has a book that helps us scaffold or build a bridge to make it simpler. And it's super crazy because when you guys were speaking the other day and you said goat, my son, my 10-year-old, comes up to me and says, "See, mom, he uses goat too." Right? He didn't hear your definition. He was telling me I was the greatest of all time, and I was laughing because I already knew what it meant. It makes him feel good to tell me he knows something.
Right, right. Yeah, well, you are the goat. And by the way, so those who are watching the playback or watching the video, the picture we have on the screen is Fit Goddess. At some point, you're going to get a chance to get to know more about Fit Goddess and her her movement to make sure that we're all more physically and spiritually fit. So, salute to Fit Goddess. You got the picture there. I like that. All right.
Much appreciated. I love the ones that you find. Yo, this is so dope, brothers. Like I'm an avid reader. I definitely need your book. Like at any given time between reading physical books, I'm at least reading 2 books physically and at least 5 or 6, including children's books, audibly. But there is this quote now from the Bible. I'm not good on the verse or the name just yet, but it says, "A good man leaves an inheritance for his children and his children's children." So the
Right.
instructions that this man, this brother has laid out sounds like those instructions so that you can, if y'all have heard of the Willie Lynch theory, right? It is a manuscript of how they condition us, right? So all we're saying is, let's recondition us to where this is just what we do, where I teach my children this and you teach your children this and they teach their children this, and then that's just the story that we lead from here on out. Amen.
Amen. I say that. I say that. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Hey, Uncle Abu's World says also Deuteronomy 28 instructs us to be the lender and not the borrower.
Right.
To
That's
be the
right.
lender
To
and not
produce
the
it.
borrower. You know, that's one of the things that I found that as people grow in the consciousness, sometimes when we first become like a neophyte in the consciousness, you want to throw away some of the things that have been used against you. So a lot of us eschew, not eschew like the deity, but we just kind of throw away the the canonized Bible of it. And there's so much wisdom inside that document. And when it's used the correct way, the liberation way, the empowerment way, then it's interesting how this wisdom can really give you some really good guidance. And
Yeah.
it's not surprising because the word God has been broken down into the acronym good, orderly direction. So
Mhm.
what's good? What's God? What's good? What's God? Peace,
Right.
God. Peace to the gods, to the earth, to the beautiful people of the universe.
Mhm.
Um, Yo, Minister Zumbi, man, any last words for tonight, bro?
Well, as I always say, that there are a number of things we should do. The first is being a $20 revolutionary. And what I mean by that is every person of African origin, whether it be in America or anywhere around the world, should make a $20 purchase from a Black owned entity, business, be it brick and mortar or e commerce. We always talk about reparations, but that's external. What are the internal reparations we are giving ourselves? And by supporting our vendors and our business establishments, we can actually do internal reparations and begin to fund our own liberation by supporting our own. Okay. So that's being a $20 revolutionary. The next thing is being what I call being a cop for those of you, especially for those of you who have intellectual property. Be a creator, be a owner, and be a protector of your products, services, and intellectual property. We've had too many horror stories about our great minds inventing things and then others winding up reaping the benefits of it and basically leaving the inventors penniless. Okay, so we should always be creators, owners, and protectors of what we create and the intellectual property we develop. And I'm trying to remember if I'm forgetting anything. Um,
Let me say, you did the be a $20 revolutionary earlier. No, you didn't.
yes, okay.
We
Did
did
a $20
cultural tither
revolution.
earlier, so rock the $20 revolutionary.
Yeah, the 20, yeah, being a $20 revolutionary is like if you get yourself in the habit of making a $20 purchase from a black owned business, be it brick and mortar or e-commerce, and especially for those of us who have children, now they can begin to see us put our money where our mouth is by supporting black businesses, whether they are retail, whether they are manufacturing, distribution, or service based. Okay, our children need to see us not just proselytize. It's something Dr. Chike Akuo always said, you know, demonstration beats conversation every time. So our children need to see us consistently demonstrate what we're constantly conversating about. Okay, there needs to be a congruency and a consistency. If this is what we say we believe in, if we say we believe in Ujamaa, then it should not be reduced to December 29th or day 4 of Kwanzaa. It should be, as Gangstar would say, a daily operation. Okay.
I say that. I say that. All right, fit goddess. Fit goddess. Any last words before we tap out of here?
Jeez, brothers, y'all are smoking. Y'all are absolutely on fire. It is amazing, right? Because there's divine masculinity. I can say the same things you say, but it sounds different because I am feminine. Um,
Hmm.
I can say it just as aggressively and it be heard the same way. You know, Lauren Hill says, I add a motherfucker so the ignorant niggas hear me. You know what I'm saying? Same difference. I absolutely love what you are doing,
Okay.
right?
Oh,
We have
one,
to be able to give it to the people and you break it down so nice. You know,
okay.
for what they say of us. You embody the thing that they say we're not.
Hmm.
You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
You are exactly the thing they say we're not. You are the kings, right? You sat here and told me, and you don't. I'm not frightened. And as a black woman raised in a Catholic school around all white people, I was the modern day Ruby Bridges. You know what I'm saying? One of maybe three K through 8, and one of maybe 10 in high school, so 9 through 12.
Hmm.
I ran from Ohio to get here to go to Norfolk State
Wow.
to be around brothers like y'all. So thank you so much for this. Like, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am humbled by the fact that you are honored by my words. But brothers, I just want to tell you, you know, because I know y'all don't hear it enough. Again, I have sons. You look like my grown sons.
Hmm.
To know how to mother, to know how to raise men is to see what men can become. Yo, we is on a mission, yo, and we're on the way up.
I say
I
that.
hope
I say
everybody
that.
listens, yo.
Oh, and one last thing to the fit goddess. I always say this to the women. For those who consider going into business, the women, I always say this to the women. If you can effectively run a household, you can effectively run a business because the principles are the same.
Listen, I will tell you the reason I got into this again, the power of men. My sons may be young, but they will be men. They are the reason that I got into business. They are the reason that their belief in the things that I do for them naturally as a mother. They're like, yo, mom, you are dope. You should make this a thing. And then I'm like, you really think so? And then I do it and I'm like, oh wow. So I have my first book, Breathe. You know what I'm saying? It's a smoothie
Mm,
book, 31 different smoothies to a simple, healthier you. It stands for build resiliency every day and think health eternally. I mean that. You
Yo,
know,
I can't wait to get Fit Goddess on the show again. We're going to have to do a little deep dive into what Fit Goddess brings to the table. But
mm.
Minister Zumbi, another banging episode of Precise Thinking. I thought this was interesting. You know, I always end by saying, drink your water.
Oh yeah.
And Fit Goddess has always stay hydrated. So, hey, peace, y'all. We love y'all. Drink your water.
Hey.
Peace.